Hello, Levi Clay here, back again for another Q&A time. In this second episode, I'll be answering a question that one of you lovely people sent to me in a private message on Facebook. And as I'm sure you can gather, if you would like to have a question featured in this upcoming series of question and answers, you can drop me questions on Facebook, leave comments on YouTube, send me emails, etc, etc. You may be like Kirk and get featured in the bottom right of my screen there when you leave a comment on something. Here's to you, Kirk. This video is also a special one for a second reason. I'm wearing a shirt today. I don't wear shirts. I don't like shirts. I feel like a monkey when I wear a shirt. I mean, it just doesn't suit me, I guess would be the better way of putting things. Anyway, on to the question. So, hey Levi, how you doing? You said in your first Q&A video that anyone can ask you something. Yes. And I've come up with something that bothers me for a long time. I would love to hear what you would say about business, your experience on promoting the things that you do, how to handle with businessmen from companies and stuff. Maybe any tips, what's important for good relationships between musicians and companies. I want to go more into business, but I'm really scared about it and always thinking, am I good enough for business as a musician? Do I have to change something in the way I look at my style? Last year I've made it for a big German metal band and they didn't let me in the band because I was too fat for metal. I want to change something on it because I don't just want to make a living from teaching, and maybe your point of view and your experience is something that many young guitar players would love to hear. So have a nice Saturday and cheers. Okay, yeah, so that's a great question. Business is something I talk about often with people, especially students of mine actually, and I'll often throw little anecdotes out there, and the tagline for them is always, why can't people business? Which is obviously nonsensical, but I like it. Learn to business. Why can't you business? I think the most important part of being good in business is having an understanding of relationships from two sides of something. Generally speaking, those that are inexperienced in business go into something only really thinking about their side and what they can get out of something, rather than what they contribute. And the way to think of that would be, well, what am I bringing to the table? Imagine I'm the other person in this conversation. Am I bringing any value to them? You will have seen, hopefully, that I've done some rants in the past on YouTube on subjects like endorsements, and I wrote a vlog and blog on my website on this subject because people don't understand what endorsements are. In this day and age, because we're so connected, it's so easy to find out that such and such or this person and that person works for this company or that company. So you add them on Facebook and then eventually you send them an email saying, hi, I make YouTube videos, can I has free guitar? I mean, it's a nice try, but in reality you have to think about, well, how does business work? Business is exactly that. Business is a mutual thing. It's about one person who has a company with an intention of that company growing and making money, and you can bring some sort of value to that, and in exchange for the value you bring, you're rewarded, ideally financially. So all these kids that ask for free guitars or pedals or whatever from companies, that's not sensible, because that's not how things work. Companies look at this, and I know because I have friends that work at companies. They get these emails all the time, daily, and it's hard to even fathom why people think that this would work, why this would be acceptable, because these people are essentially saying, well, I make some YouTube videos, I'm hoping to be big one day, can I have a free pedal and I'll support you? What? That's not how it works. When you think about this logically, the next step in that, and these people do it all the time, because as part of the Lick Library thing, people will often come to me to pitch, coming and doing some work for Lick Library, and it's always the same thing. It's always, hi, my name's John Smith. Here's a YouTube video of me playing the guitar. I'm endorsed by this company, this company, this company, this company, this company, and this company. Are you looking for teachers? I mean, that's a great subject in itself, because when you think about business, how is that relevant? What does the company that you want to work with do? Learn about the company that you're going into business with. Lick Library provides guitar instructional content. And from what you've seen, it's filmed on location. So where is that location? Do you know where that is? Can you get to that studio? Is that possible for you? Do you live in India? Is getting to a studio in Romford going to be awkward for you? Probably. Okay, let's reconsider this. Does anybody film from home for Lick Library? Yes, they're starting to film from home. Okay, do I have the ability and quality to film my material at home? No. Okay, well, let's rectify that. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you videos of me just playing the guitar and telling you who I'm endorsed by. Well, again, think from the business that you're talking to. Think from their perspective. They don't care if you're endorsed by Fender or Gibson, Ibanez, Marshall. They don't care. That brings nothing to them. That's not really how endorsements work. Again, I talk about this. You don't get endorsements so you can get work. You get work, and with that, with prolific work, with being in the public eye, comes companies that want you to use their gear so their gear can be in the public eye. It doesn't work the other way around. Anyway, so in this imaginary setting, you have these people coming up and they're showing you their playing, but it's like, well, hang on a minute. All you've demonstrated here is that you can play the guitar really, really well. What if you can't string a sentence together? What if you have no understanding of what you're doing other than I put my finger here because a tab on the internet told me that that's what I do? What if I emailed you back and said, oh, fantastic, okay, yeah, we're actually looking for a new teacher, and we've been thinking of putting together a Carl Verheyen quick licks project. Do you think you could write a long solo in the style of Carl Verheyen and backing track and come in and record that and teach it? What are you going to do? Like, if you don't have an understanding of how to write non-copyright material and to film and perform and create good backing tracks and be able to explain the theory behind what you're doing, you're not suitable for the job. So that's really the most important thing in business. It's understand from the other person's perspective. Because if you can interact with someone on that sort of human level, that's a good thing to do. That's what makes you, I guess the term would be affable, but it makes people want to work with you. I think that's very important. And that kind of leads me on to the most important thing. You have to be a nice person in business. Yes, okay, I make YouTube videos, and in some of my YouTube videos I get a little bit mouthy. That's because that's part of my persona, let's say. I create that character because I find it entertaining. I'm not genuinely an arsehole, I just find it very funny to play an arsehole. In business, if I were to deal with people like that, and I have lost my temper and dealt with people like that in the past, it's not going to get you anywhere. You can't call the shots in business. Either you offer something of value or you don't. That's very important. But sometimes somebody will offer a little bit more than you, but they'll be a bit of an arsehole. And that means that they probably won't get the gig, be it a performance gig or whatever it is you happen to do, teaching, transcribing, management, whatever it is. Because when you're in business with somebody, you have to work with that person, and working with a person means having to actually deal with them, and nobody wants to deal with an arsehole. It's as simple as that, really. There are plenty of people in this industry that deserve to be further because of their technical abilities, their understandings and what they can do, but they're just arseholes to work with. There's no reason to name names on that, because the further you get into business, you'll meet these people. That's really all there is on that one. So being prepared is important, and being a good person is obviously just as important. And I guess that's really all there is to business. It doesn't hurt to have an understanding of standard terms, but you've not been too specific in what area you're talking about. I mean, it's a massive shame that what you've talked about there, being told that you're too fat for metal, and I can relate. Sooner or later you have to not begrudge people for a response like that, because, well, they're just business people just like yourself, and if they're trying to maintain a certain image in order to sell their product, and you go against what they're trying to market, then it's understandable that that wouldn't be something that they'd be interested in. It doesn't make it any easier to swallow, but it can be understood, right? I think that's kind of important. And the other thing is sort of promoting yourself and stuff like this. Yeah, you have to go out, and you have to, business is, who you know. You can be the best guitar player or best manager or whatever it happens to be in the world, but if you don't know anyone, you're never going to get any work. So having a decent social media network and getting to know people on a human level, because trust me, people like me, or I mean, I don't want to throw names out there, but I'm thinking of specific guys that work for various companies that make guitars or pedals or things like that. They see you from a mile away. when you add them and your only intention is to get noticed. I mean, I have a rule. I don't generally add people on Facebook. I've got colleagues that I work with that I don't have on my Facebook. Even my sister-in-law I don't have on my Facebook, because I don't go and add people, because for me that's not what Facebook is for. Facebook is an outlet for me to get to know and interact with people that are interested in what I do. That's the way I use my Facebook, and that's not to say that's the right way or that that's the way you should use your Facebook, but generally speaking that's the way I use my Facebook. And over time, I mean, of course I have added some people that I have respect for, but over time what you find is, if you're a genuine person, and I try to be as genuine as possible, you start seeing the same names appear on your feed, and you gain an interest in the things that they're doing, and maybe you get into a bit of conversation with them over, oh, I really enjoyed that piece of work, what were you doing there? Human conversations that maybe down the line, that's how a business relationship is struck up. But just sort of cold calling people essentially, but on Facebook, to try and make money, it's not necessarily the best way to go about doing things. So I guess in summary what I'm saying is, be a genuine person, really be compassionate, and understand that business is a two-way thing. I guess I've kind of missed one thing out here, but don't be a pushover. That's also important. If you're providing value to someone, this is how the compassionate understanding someone else's point of view comes in handy. If you're providing a service for someone, you're bringing value to them or bringing value to their business. You don't do that in kind. You do it for a return. Not the promise maybe one day of a return. And this is a lesson that any self-employed person has to learn sooner or later. I've learned this. When I do transcription work for people now, especially new clients, the work is paid for before I even open the file. Simple as that. That's my rules of business, my terms of service. It's the way I do things, because I've done, £1,000 worth of work in the past for a client, and I've been chased for that. He's been like, right, when have you done it yet? Is it finished? Oh well, sorry man, I'm actually on holiday with my girlfriend at the moment, so I'll do it when I get back. Won't take long when I'm home. Yeah, well, okay, cool. I need it just as soon as possible. And then you get all this work done, and then you don't send it over. Let me be clear, I'm not an idiot. But you go, right, cool, job's done. Silence. Dude, job's done. You chased me for it, here it is, it's all done. I mean, I'd asked you to pay for everything up front, but you said we'll settle at the end, and I was foolish. Oh yeah, well, the publisher that we're dealing with decided not to release it anymore, so I don't think we need them anymore. Cool, not my fucking problem. Not my problem at all. You asked me to do a job, I've done the job, pay me for it. And I have been down that route, and I've had to take people to court and still lost for reasons that... No, actually, because I don't want you to think that there's anything disingenuous about me, just due to me serving legal papers, not to a personal address, but to the address of the business that I've been dealing with, and that wasn't deemed appropriate in the small claims court, so the judge threw it out, and I could have appealed that, but that would have cost me more money, and I kind of like to be a bit zen about things like this, and operate under the mantra of don't throw good money after bad. It was an expensive lesson, but so was going to music school. So it was a lesson that I learned, and I could take something for it, and learn that lesson early on. Don't work for free, don't work for the promise of money down the line. If you bring value to somebody, if you are worth something, then charge for it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. In fact, I guess a good bit of advice, I keep adding all these little bits of advice. Don't be a bullshitter, never be a bullshitter, but at the same time, if you're of value, don't be afraid to tell someone that you're of value. One of the best bits of advice I got was from a friend, an old student of mine, David Coe. I'm pretty sure it was David. I'm sure it was David. I mean, it was two guys around the same time, but yeah, anyway. I was teaching at the time in London, and I was charging... It was either, I want to say £20 for lessons, and it could have even been less than that. Anyway, he said, Levi, you need to put your prices up. And I was like, well, I mean, I just don't know whether I can risk that. I don't have a lot of students at the moment, and I can't afford to lose students and things like that. And he said, but maybe the fact that your prices are low is the reason you don't have as many students as you should have, because people look at the service that you're offering and they see the price that you're charging, and they assume that it's not a service of high quality because you're not charging like a professional. If you introduce yourself to somebody as a professional and charge like a professional, and this is the important part, deliver the content of a professional, then you'll be treated like a professional. But if you act like a student, if you charge like a student, then people are just going to assume that you're not of standard, you're just trying to sort of get by. Now, obviously double-edged sword, because people that aren't capable will start charging more in the hopes that they'll get more business, but very quickly, you know, that shit gets knocked out of the way because people realise, oh, this guy can't do the job that I've paid him for. Yeah, so that would be it. And again, I keep adding, but when you can do jobs, you know, word of mouth spreads. My business is pretty much solely built on word of mouth. I've not put much money into advertising. I mean, I guess these videos and all that, my website and all that is advertising, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, I've not had to spend money on Google AdWords or things like that in order to get my business out there. If you do a damn good job for somebody, they're going to tell people that you've done a good job. And I have some of the best clients in the world. So that some of the people that I work with are just absolutely fantastic, generous, kind-hearted people. I was going to say, let's not throw names out there, but no, like massive props to guys like Tom Quayle or George Marius or Anthony at Texas Blues Alley or John at Learning Guitar Now. These people have just, many more of course, but these are people that I've worked with, and they're just such good people that they recommend my services to other people, and it's been good. So if you're good at your job, word will spread. Does that answer some of your questions? Hopefully it answers some of your questions. I hope that I've not really missed anything out there. Yeah, just focus on that. And it doesn't hurt to read a book on business, on music business and the art of business, how to make deals and how to negotiate. I mean, I've not really dug into the subject of negotiation. That's a subject for another day, I guess. But yeah, you know, I did music business as part of my degree, so I learned about how business and things work. But there's nothing wrong with being progressive and seeing things differently. Be firm in your convictions, be a man of your word, and be good at what you do, and hopefully that should be enough. Oh, and of course get to know some people. So thank you very much for your question. I believe it was Justin that sent this question. It's appreciated, and of course you can check out my Patreon. Ooh, it's up there somewhere there. There's a link to that in the description below. Head on over there, and even supporting me with $1 does help. If I had 1,000 people supporting me with $1, it would actually change my life. So yes, if I'm not just talking to one person here, anybody, if you want more great content from me, want to specify videos, lots of cool things that you can get on my Patreon, including private access to our private Facebook group where we have lots of chat going on and transcription challenges and the like. Anyway, peace out, motherfuckers. It's been my pleasure to serve, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.